22-year-old Chastity Bell is suing her ex-boyfriend's friend, 25-year-old Anthony Carper, for a loan to pay court fines.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 458 on the calendar in the matter of Bell versus Carper. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks.
How are you related to her?
I'm not related to her. I'm the witness's mother.
Which witness?
Right.
Jessie.
I don't know.
You don't know she's your mother?
No, I do, but I mean, I don't know how this all came about.
I do.
We're going to find out.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Miss Bell,
Yes.
how old are you?
22?
You work?
Yes.
For whom?
My father.
Doing what?
I'm a receptionist of his company. I've been working there for about 5 years.
Is it a successful company?
Yes.
How many children are there in your family?
I have one brother and one sister.
Is your sister younger or older?
She's older. She's 32.
So you're the baby daughter?
Yes.
Pretty one.
Thank you.
According to what I read, you used to be involved romantically with him. Mm-hmm. The one who's going to sit up and uncross his arms.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
And he was a friend of this one.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So you became a friend of this one.
Well, I was friends with him before Jessie and I actually got into a relationship.
And I gather that your father must have been thrilled with your choice of boyfriends.
Absolutely not.
Now, I could tell that before I even sat down, because these two charmers ended up in jail.
Correct.
For whatever. We'll figure it out. And it is your claim that you loaned Mr. Carper money to pay off his criminal fines.
Correct.
Mr. Carper says that you did pay off his criminal fines, and you did so as a gift because you were a friend of his. He says you were more than a friend of his, that you had a romantic relationship.
We were never boyfriend and girlfriend.
Listen, he didn't say boyfriend and girlfriend, he just says you were intimate with both of them.
No.
And all I can say is yuck. Can you imagine a father who has a company that has enough money to employ a receptionist? And this is the boyfriend and this is the friend that she goes to visit both of them in jail? How many times did you go to visit them in jail?
I never visited them in jail.
Oh, good. At least, thank God for that. No. What were you in jail for, Mr. Carper?
Personal reasons, ma'am.
Personal reasons is not a criminal offense.
Shh.
Quiet!
I made stupid decisions, Your Honor.
Mr. Carper, when I ask a question, I expect an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you in jail for?
Possession.
Possession of?
Schedule II substance.
What kind of substance?
Pills.
Was it the first time you were arrested?
No, ma'am.
And the last time you were arrested was when, sir?
Before I got incarcerated.
When were you incarcerated?
It's March of 2002.
And how long were you in prison?
30 months.
What prison?
Coffeewood and Camp 7.
Are you still on parole status?
Yes, ma'am.
Until when?
It's indefinite.
You're on indefinite parole?
Yes, ma'am.
Fabulous. Now, your friend, what's his name?
Jesse Golf.
Jesse. How long have you and Jesse been friends?
Since I was 5 years old, ma'am.
And what was he in prison for?
Assault.
Assault?
Yes, ma'am.
How long had Jesse and Miss Bell been friends?
They had known each other for a long time. I never met her. She said I knew her before they started dating. I never met this girl until I came home. I didn't know who she was. So that's a lie right there.
How long did you think they were involved? He was in prison with you, right?
We were in the county jail together.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
When were you in the county jail together?
2003.
Did he know her then? Were they involved then?
I take it. No, they weren't involved.
No, we were
When
not.
did you first hook up with Jesse?
I started talking to Jesse actually back in high school, about 9th grade.
When did you start to see him romantically?
I want to say July.
And he's just out of jail?
Yes.
You're his mother.
I am.
Sometimes you bake a souffle and it falls. Happens. Tell me about the loan.
I loaned him $4,589 on September 29th to pay off his charges, which I have receipts of.
Well, tell me how it came about that you laid out that money.
Well, I saw him apply after job after job after job, and he kept getting turned down because he didn't have his license. And
What do you mean you saw him?
Well, I would take him and Mr. Goff to apply at jobs. And
why would you do that?
I was trying to help them out by taking them to fill out job applications so they could get a job, and I didn't want them to get locked back up. And I asked Mr. Carper if I were to pay off his fines, he could get his license and get a job, and if him and Jesse were willing to be my roommates, because I'm going through separation, so
Separation from?
my husband.
You have any children?
I have a 3-year-old daughter.
So you wanted to take your 3-year-old daughter and be their roommate?
Yes.
Who do you live with now?
Now I live with my parents. I'm currently trying to sell.
Stay there, because your judgment is impaired, big time.
Recently it has been. I do agree.
If you are a 22-year-old woman and your judgment is impaired and all you're doing is hurting yourself, that's one thing. But to take your 3-year-old child and on purpose move in out of your parents' home into an apartment with 2 convicted felons who are on parole, one for drugs, and I'm not so sure about him now, is the kind of lapsed judgment that your parents aren't going to tolerate.
It's actually a house that I own, and my husband, my ex, moved out, and I could not afford the mortgage, and I actually lived there, and it was either I find some roommates or I try
I
to
don't
sell
care
the
if you
home.
have to live in a shelter. You don't take a 3-year-old child and put a 3-year-old child in a circumstance where you have 2 convicted felons, one of whom was there for pills.
I agree.
Got it?
It was also cocaine.
So you paid off his fines.
Yes.
And how was he supposed to pay you back?
He was going to pay me monthly because I actually charged it on a credit card, and he agreed to pay me monthly. At first, a little bit over the minimum payment, and then, you know, he was going to pay me a lot more.
What were the fines for? Can I see the piece of paper that you have?
Yes.
You think that's a real diamond in his ear?
It definitely is.
I doubt
Is
it.
that a real diamond in your ear?
Of course, ma'am, I don't wear fake things.
What?
I said I don't wear fake things, just
Could I
this.
see it, please?
You
Yeah,
said
take it out.
Wow.
Thank you. Felony fee, fines, $1,000. Felony fee, $350. Jail admission fee, $25. And court-appointed attorney, $437. Love it. Commonwealth of Virginia. Good for Virginia. And what would happen to you, Mr. Carper, if you didn't pay these fines?
They would probably violate my parole.
And then what would happen to you?
Then I would not see the light of day forever.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Payment of the fine is what?
Punishment.
Right. And if you let somebody else pay your fines, you're allowing somebody else to do your...
Punishment, ma'am.
Is he a quick learner or what?
It's quick.
And later today,
This guy is no good. No bargain, no good, no way.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chastity Bell claims her ex-boyfriend's friend, Anthony Carper, owes for a loan to pay court fines.
What do you think fines are for, sir?
To be paid, ma'am.
Because they're part of your what?
Probation.
Part of your what? Punishment.
Yes, ma'am.
And if somebody else pays your fine, then you have no...
Punishment.
Right. Why do you think a court would allow that to happen?
Because it's the law, ma'am.
What's the law? Why do you think a court would allow somebody else to do your punishment? Let me ask you this, sir. We've already established that payment of the fine is what?
Punishment.
Right. And you're going to jail was a form of...
Punishment, ma'am.
Now, you couldn't say to somebody else, listen, I want you to do me a favor. I don't feel like going to jail. I'm going to go out and sell a whole bunch of pills and maybe a little cocaine, so I'm going to have a couple of bucks, you know. I'm going to give you $10,000 to do my 30 months. You think that the state would permit that to happen?
No, ma'am.
What would the person say to you now? I don't mind going to jail. I have nothing else to do. I could really use the $10,000. I'll go to jail for you for the 30 months. You think the state would permit that?
No, ma'am.
Because then you wouldn't be doing your own.
Punishment.
And if you let somebody else pay your fines, you're allowing somebody else to do your...
Punishment, ma'am.
Is he a quick learner or what? So the first thing you have to do in order to do your punishment is sell your diamonds. That's what the first thing that people do is sell their diamonds, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Then they pay the rest of their debt, $4,500. Maybe you can get $89 for this taupe diamond. When did you give him up as a boyfriend?
We weren't really actually together because he's not capable of just having one girlfriend. We were supposedly together for probably about maybe a month.
You are an articulate, nice-looking girl who clearly has very low self-esteem. Because if you didn't have low self-esteem, you wouldn't have been involved with either one of them.
Correct.
You have parents who have a business, you have a child, you've made some bad judgments, but you're only 22 years old. You have the capacity to change. You have anything you want to add to what I've already said?
I do.
I mean, I'm just dying to hear why you would come be her witness if your son is sitting over there.
Because what's wrong is wrong, and you're absolutely right. He's skating his punishment.
You have anything new to add?
I think it's a fine how you do to thank somebody for doing all that she did for you.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. By the way, did she also pay your son's fines?
Yes, she did.
Did he pay her back?
No, we actually go to court for that on March 7th in Prince William County.
Should we just hang out here?
Just a second. Just a second. So why don't you do this? You're his mother, right?
I am.
You made him. You raised him. Why don't you pay his fines?
Because he's 24 years old and I'm not responsible for him anymore.
Right, yeah, I know, but you're more responsible than a stranger. Maybe you should just let
I
him
would
go
not
back
have
to
paid
jail.
his fines in the first place.
You would let him go back to jail?
I would.
You're absolutely right. Sit down. In any event, she paid $4,589 in order to keep you free. I'm entering a judgment for $4,500 and his diamond. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It is what it is, man. She was messing with him. Me and her had a little thing going on.
I made a mistake by trying to help both of them out, and it blew up in my face.
If me and her would have stayed talking, this would have never came about.
Doesn't matter if he's seeing her or not. The money is still owed.
Money is nothing to me. I'll take care of it.
Picking up the phone the day Jesse called me was one of the biggest mistakes I made.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Murray versus Easton, step forward, please.
23-year-old Lisa Murray is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old Ish Easton, for the cost of a plane ticket to New Jersey. Ish claims Lisa is being vindictive.
Miss Murray, Mr. Easton and you dated briefly, according to your complaint, and you believe he owes you for an airline ticket that you purchased for him in order that the two of you go home to meet the parents. And then you broke up. For the trip, Mr. Easton says that the going home to meet the parents was strictly your idea. He never asked you to buy the ticket. You bought it on your own, so you pay for it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you meet him?
February 2006. We were working together.
And when did you start dating?
We started dating in the beginning of June 2006.
And when did you want to go and introduce him to your family?
Through the month of June, or in the beginning of July 2006, our relationship became
No.
serious.
You're talking so fast I can hardly understand you. I asked you a simple question. When did you want to take him home to meet your parents?
July 2006.
After 4 weeks? Why?
Well, I had missed my family very much, and he also said that he would like to go. He was excited about going to see New York City and seeing New Jersey.
If he was so excited, why didn't he buy his own ticket?
He currently did not have the money at the time, nor did he have a credit card.
What was the arrangement that you made with him?
That when we came back from our trip, that he would be reimbursing me.
And when did you break up?
September 7th, 2006.
And when were you supposed to go to New York?
September 9th, 2006.
I'll hear you.
After she had initially brought the idea to go visit her parents, I told her then, I was like, well, I don't have money.
No, look at me, look at me.
Oh, I told her then, I don't have money to pay you back for any kind of ticket before we even discussed repaying anything.
Why would you say that to her? I thought you met at work.
This is after we started dating, man.
No, listen to me. You're not listening. You don't have your listening ears on. You said, I don't have any money. And she just told me that you met at work in February of 2006. What kind of work were you doing?
I, at the time, was working at Home Depot, man.
And in July, where were you working?
I worked for a structural engineering firm.
And in August?
Still work there, man.
Okay, so you were working, you were employed.
Yes.
Do you have children?
No, before dating Miss Murray, I was in a previous relationship. Separating from that relationship, I had to move back home. But upon moving back home, my parents were like, well, you got to help pay bills and stuff like that. So I pay half of everything.
So?
Leaving pretty much nothing.
Well, that's not true. You have money to eat out, right?
On occasion, ma'am. And that was money that I was like, Mom, you know, can I borrow $50 to go out or...
Mr. Easton, when you discussed with Miss Murray going to New York, I don't believe that you said to her, I don't have the money to pay you now, and I'll never have the money to pay you back. Because I don't think that under those circumstances she would have continued to see you, because that would have sounded like something a bum would say. I don't have money now, maybe. I'll never have money to pay you back. I wouldn't have taken you to meet my parents. I would have been humiliated to take you. You're a bum. if you say, I'll never have any money to buy an airline ticket for $295. So I don't believe that you said that to her. I believe that you probably said to her, I don't have money to pay for it now. That I believe. Now, when did she buy the ticket?
She called me and was like, I bought tickets to go to New Jersey.
No, you had already discussed it. So don't say it came as a surprise to you. It didn't come as a surprise.
I don't know the exact date of her
When did you
buying
purchase the tickets?
July 25th, I purchased the tickets. I have phone calls.
Shh. And she told you that she purchased them in July?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And you were working in Home Depot?
I was working at Home Depot and the engineering firm at the same time.
So 2 places?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do with the ticket?
I was unable to refund it because he broke up with me within 24 hours prior to canceling it.
You have the bill?
Yes.
Why did you break up right before you were ready to leave for New York, sir?
Well, there was a span of like 2 weeks where her and I barely ever saw each other, and that was because my work schedule at the engineering firm went from a regular 8-hour day to 9 to 12-hour days, and I didn't have time to see her. It was work, home, work, bed, pretty much.
Okay.
A gentleman that I play football with, his girlfriend and Miss Murray became very good friends, hanging out, had informed me that the plaintiff had gone to MySpace and read a quote that I'd written on MySpace. And that was one of the first issues. One of the other issues was
Did you say something not nice about her?
I didn't say anything toward her at all. The quote that I left on my page said, due to the pain caused by love, to love I say. And that was nothing toward her previous relationship exactly to that. Then it went from that to she had been saying, oh, I don't have money, I don't have money, I don't have money. Well, then my friend's girlfriend is like, oh, we went shopping today. And Lisa bought this, and Lisa bought that, and Lisa bought this.
What does it make any difference to you whether she said I don't have money?
Well, because if you're going to tell me you don't have money, then how are you going to turn around and go shopping?
She wasn't asking for money from you, was she?
Initially broke up with her because she lies. You can't trust a liar. You can trust a thief because you know they're going to steal. You can trust a killer, you know they're going to kill, but you can't trust a liar. I asked her, I said, well, did you go on my MySpace page and read that? She said no. And before that, I said, is there anything you want to tell me about that you haven't said to me in the past? No, there's nothing I can think of.
You're going to get your $295 back for the ticket. Before you leave, you get down on the floor, on all fours, kiss the ground, and say, God, thank you for terminating this relationship because this guy is no good. I don't know if you're good, but I can tell you right now, he's a bum. He's always going to be a bum because he makes excuses for what he does that bear no resemblance to reality. That's what he just did. He just gave me a whole cock and bull story. In reality, he probably found somebody else to cover some of his bills. Because when someone is so smitten with a woman, they don't not see them for 2 weeks. They may give up sleeping, but they won't go work, job, work, school, work, and not see the person for whom they have lost their heart. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So he made up a whole big story. Nothing in his story was true. So you're a very lucky girl that you got rid of him because for somebody who doesn't like lying, he has become very proficient at it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $295. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
21-year-old Christy Dye is suing her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Jeffrey Springer, for the cost of wheels and tires.
All rise. Your Honor, case number 495 on the calendar in the matter of Dye versus Springer. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a model.
You make a lot of money?
It's average. I wouldn't say a lot.
Well, give me an example. You filed your tax returns last year. What did you earn in your tax returns last year?
I just started modeling like maybe 3 months ago.
Well, then what did you do last year?
I worked at Dillard's.
And how much did you earn at Dillard's last year?
$5,000. I didn't work many hours.
Well, where did you live?
In San Angelo.
With whom?
The defendant, Jeffrey Scott Springer.
I'm sorry.
Was he supporting you?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you certainly weren't supporting yourself,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Springer, what do you...
I'm listening. I'm sorry. I mean...
What do you do for a living, sir?
I work in a call center.
Call center?
Yes, ma'am. For Progressive Insurance.
And how long have you been doing that?
I've only been doing that for about 3 months in Austin.
Sir, what I want you to do is tell me, Mr. Springer, what you were doing last year when you were supporting Miss Dye.
I worked for Capital One at a call center also.
They didn't do that commercial that they do and fashion it after you, did they?
No, ma'am.
Adorable. You were supporting the plaintiff when you were living together?
That would be correct.
How much did you earn?
25 a year.
$25,000?
That'd be correct.
Allowed you to buy that beautiful gold chain that you're wearing that's blinding me. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Miss Dye, so he's supporting you for the year, right?
Yes, ma'am. But before last year, I also worked at a gym. I managed a gym in San Angelo.
425 ain't supporting nothing, so I don't see where you get
$6, thank you.
6. Keep you in mascara.
$6.
Now, this is your claim. Your claim is that you purchased, on your credit, new rims and wheels for him.
I financed them for him.
Did you use a credit card?
No, ma'am.
Did you pay cash?
No. I went to Credit World with him in San Angelo.
It's a rent to own.
A rent to own.
There you go.
Because that's something that nobody can do without. New rims and wheels, right, Bert?
Rent to own rims and
Rent
wheels.
to own rims and wheels.
I have a picture of it.
You want to know something? I don't need to see it. Unless they have a picture of a bird in the middle, I'm not interested in taking a look at it. Because I think that's the most ridiculous thing. You know, I can understand if you buy new tires because your tires are bald and you need tires to get around, but somebody who earns $4.25 an hour and somebody who is supporting two people on not a lot of money doesn't need fancy spokes for their car. You know, you should put away some money maybe for college education.
That would be why she was getting supported by me, is because she was going to college.
Good. Anyway, you financed these rims and wheels. You paid some of it off, but when you broke up, he stopped paying the rest.
Correct.
No, my arm is hurt. I can't.
Rest it on the table, sir.
It's
Don't
hard.
cross your arms. What?
It's hard.
It's hard?
I mean,
then
go ahead.
just suffer for a while you're here.
Oh, I'd be more than happy to try to.
Good. Did you pay for some of these rims and wheels?
Yes.
How much did you pay?
Everything but the $12.56.
Okay, so why don't you owe her for the rest?
As we broke up, I moved back to Austin. I went to jail for driving on a suspended license. I informed her that I was not going to pay for the car. I called the dealership. They had impounded the car. I informed her that I needed the manufactured tires back to give the dealership so I could get those tires back and give them either to her or to Credit World. She no longer had the manufactured tires. So she didn't give them to me. They gave me 20 days to pick them up off that vehicle. She never gave me nothing, so I could not get them.
So your defense is that you contacted her after how long?
4 or 5 months, maybe.
And then you called her and you said, listen, if you want the rims and wheels, because they're going to repossess the car, you have to come down with the original ones.
Correct.
Where were the original ones?
They gave me 20 days.
No.
I'm not sure where the original was.
Well, what did you expect her to do? Hold on to the original ones forever?
Well, most people hold on to their manufactured
Most people
rims.
hold on to their rims. I'm going to tell you something.
The manufacturers.
I'm going to tell you something. Mr. Springer, without going into make and model, suffice it to say, sir, that I have a lot of cars. I have never held on to, well, not only have I never held on to rims and wheels, I've never bought rims and wheels. I buy a new car. Car comes with wheels. That's what's on the car. That's what I drive. They're round, they work, that's fine.
That's true.
How many rims and wheels do you have in your garage?
Just sitting here
yeah.
off the car.
Off the car?
None.
None. You want to know why? Because we have other junk to put in garages. You know, where are you supposed to put the bicycles and the trash cans?
And the cars.
And the cars. So, Mr. Springer, let us assume, well, I can't tolerate him. Sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We would like to know, what is it you take?
What do you mean, what does it I take?
You seem to be so happy. Do you take a special kind of coffee or
No.
tea? Do you drink a special kind of juice?
And later today,
My first child, I gave up to adoption. And she came to me and said that since I did not have a car, that if I gave my child to her friends, she would give me the car.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christy Dye claims ex-boyfriend Jeffrey Springer owes for new wheels and tires. Jeffrey says he supported Christy for 2 years.
Mr. Springer, I want to ask you a question. Sometimes I wake up in a bad mood. Now, I know that that might be hard for you to believe. It might be hard for the rest of the world to believe that sometimes I wake up in a bad mood. And I might venture to say sometimes Officer Petrie Hawkinsburg might wake up in a bad mood. Sometimes. Not often, but sometimes. We would like to know, what is it you take, sir?
What do you mean, what is it I take?
You seem to be so happy, sir.
Yeah, I mean,
you seem to be inordinately happy.
It's hilarious to me that she's suing me over $1,200.
You seem to be happy under the most dire circumstances.
Yeah.
So we would like to know, do you take a special kind of coffee or tea? What mixture do you take in the morning? Do you drink a special kind of juice? Do you eat a special kind of cereal in the morning to make you as happy as you are?
No, I'm happy individual.
You're happy?
I mean, but
I hope you're happy. All the way to the bank where you're going to send her $1,257.03. Because I don't think I don't think that she has to hold on to your old rims in case your car gets impounded. Goodbye, Mr. Springer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused.
You gotta be
Step
kidding.
out.
$1,200? My chain costs $1,200, boss man.
I'm pleased. I mean, he owed me the money, and I'm glad it's over and done with, and we can both go on with our own lives.
It's not petty to her, because she needs the $1,200. I don't need it.
We were together, and we were in a relationship.
I don't feel like I owe her anything.
I'm a nice person, and I mean, I try to do a favor for someone, and look what happened.
If anything, she owes me.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Breeden versus Strybee. Step forward, please.
23-year-old Michelle Breeden is suing her mother, Ollie Strybee, for breaking their agreement regarding the sale of a home. Michelle says Ollie kept proceeds that were supposed to go to her.
Ms. Breeden, the defendant is your mother. You and your husband and child or children?
2 children.
2 children. Moved into a home that your mother bought, and the idea was that you would live there with an option to buy it. At such a time when your credit became substantial enough for you to get a mortgage and your finances sort of settled down. While you were living there, you claimed that you made certain improvements in the house, invested close to $4,000. And then, according to you, your mother decided that since the housing market had taken off, she was no longer interested in selling you the house at the price that she had paid for it, which was your agreement, but she wanted to sell it on the open market, which she did at a profit, and you believe that she should pay you for the money that you invested in improving the house.
Yes, sure.
That's the lawsuit.
Yes.
Your mother says that you and your husband, was it your husband, separated. You were no longer interested in purchasing the house. You moved out. She did, in fact, sell the house at a profit, but it is her claim that you were the one who told her, I can't buy the house anymore because we're separated. So she sold the house to somebody else. When did you purchase this house, Ms. Strybee?
In April 2004.
And how much did you pay for it?
$102,500.
And what was the financial arrangement with your daughter with regard to how much rent she was going to pay?
She agreed to pay the mortgage payment on the house.
Which was how much, Ms. Breeden?
It was just shy of $900, Your Honor.
Okay. I'd like you to tell me when you were advised by your mother that she was planning on selling the house.
I was advised about 6 months prior to moving out that she was going to sell the house because she was no longer interested in selling us the house at what she paid for it. She was interested in making a profit off of us and wanted to sell the home to us for nearly $160,000.
That wasn't the original
Just a
agreement.
second. Did you discuss that with your mother? You said you found out. Did you have a conversation with her?
Yes, I had a conversation with Ollie. I told her that I couldn't make payments on $160,000, so we decided that we were no longer going to buy it because she wanted so much more for it.
Okay. Now, what was your arrangement with your mother at the time she purchased the house?
When she purchased the house, she was going to let us move into it. We were going to cover the mortgage for 1 year, and then after 1 year, we were going to try to get our finances in a situation that we could get appropriate financing.
And what happened in 2005?
Right after my second child was born, we went in to get a mortgage. It was not satisfactory. We discussed renting it longer from her. That was fine with her. A couple months into 2005, she was trying to buy another home for herself. So she discussed selling the home if we could not buy it from her. I said, well, we've already put nearly $4,000 worth of our own money into it, And if you sold it, I would at least like to get that money back out of it to use as a down payment if we chose to move somewhere else. That was fine with her. We moved out the end of February, and she put the house on the market in March. It took her till November 1st to sell the home.
Gotcha.
When she sold the home, I came to her halfway through November, and she said something about she didn't want to discuss it through the holidays, so I came back to her at the beginning of January of 2007. By that time, she said that she didn't have the money and that she thought that since she had to pay the mortgage from the time we moved out to the time it sold, that she believed she no longer owed us the amount that we were asking for.
Gotcha. Okay. Now we'll hear you.
Michelle and her husband were expecting their second child and living in a hotel. And although Michelle and my husband doesn't get along very well, I didn't want them to be living in a hotel when the second child.
So you
so
made
we
this
bought
arrangement.
this house for them.
Got it.
The arrangement was that she would pay the mortgage payment for the year.
I got it so far. There are certain things that are not contested. You were a nice mom, bought the house, let them live in it, covered the mortgage payment, and then there came a time when you wanted to buy another house. You couldn't buy another house because you already had this house. So let's go.
The arrangement was for her to buy the house at the end of a year. I told her I'd give her a year.
She
So
said
at the end of that year, she didn't have her finances fixed.
Got it. That's what she said.
So her husband had moved out. She said that she couldn't afford to make the payments anymore with him paying for someplace else to live, and that she was fine with me going ahead and putting the house on the market, and that they would move out. Our original agreement for the year was, at the end of the year, if I sold her the house, I would credit her how much she's paid for the mortgage, so that would cover her 10% down she needed to buy it herself.
I'm talking about the $3,900 that your daughter says you discussed at the time she moved out, that she had invested in improving the house, and that you had said to her, the time when the house is sold, I'll give that back to you.
I don't remember that conversation, not when she was moving out. I only discussed with her when we first bought the house that any improvements she made in the house at that time, if she didn't buy the house, I would pay her back for it at the end of the year.
Oh, fine. So that discussion was had. Fine. Let me see what you put into the house. How much did you sell the house for, Ms. Strivey?
$149,500.
Okay. What did you tile?
We tiled about 1,000 square feet, the kitchen, the living room, the dining room, both bathrooms, and a hallway. The only thing in the house that wasn't tiled was the 3 bedrooms.
She bought the tile and I put it down.
It's fine. You got the profit. How much did you clear, Ms. Strivey?
Altogether, we probably made about $20,000 off the house.
Okay.
And I did give her, during this period when we were selling the house, they had repossessed her van and she had no transportation. So I signed over my 2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee to her.
That agreement for that Jeep has nothing at all to do with the home. My first child, I gave up to adoption within this period of time. And
This
I
had
was
nothing
going
to do with the adoption.
I was going to give it to a couple that was in Miami that I did not know. And she came to me and said that since I did not have a car, that if I gave my child to her friends, she would give me the car, and her friends are very good people. But that was the agreement for the Jeep, and that has nothing at all to do with this home.
That's not true. I would never offer to sell my grandchild. That was what he needed, because he had already been taken out of her possession once and placed with me for custody.
How old is he?
He's 6. He's 2 weeks younger than my 6-year-old. I have a 6-year-old as well. And during this period, which is why the husband moved out, is because he was taken away from them and put in my custody.
This still has nothing to do with the house, Your Honor.
It did, and that was the point where she couldn't afford to make the payments anymore.
Where is your husband now?
My husband right now is in Cocoa, Florida.
Do you live with him?
No, I do not.
Who do you live with?
I live with 2 roommates, and I cover 1/3 of the rent. My friend Lisa and her husband cover 1/3 of the rent, and then my brother-in-law and his wife cover the other 1/3 of the rent.
Are you still married?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
This arrangement just happened within the last few weeks because her husband's been in jail.
At the time that you were living in this house, who was working, you or your husband?
My husband was working, and I owned my own business.
What kind of business?
It was a children's consignment shop.
That I helped her open.
So you were both working?
Yes.
So whatever money you invested in the house, you would only be entitled to half of this. Is that right? The other half would be your husband's?
Yes, Your Honor, if you want to look. Yes, that would be correct.
Okay. You think your mother has been reasonable or unreasonable with you?
I think my mother has been selfish and incapable of being a mother.
In the relatively short time, Ms. Strybey, that I have to spend with you, I'm never going to be able to figure out the pathology of your family. But it clearly seems to me that your daughter, whether rightfully or wrongfully, labors under the assumption that you had an agreement, which I find to be potentially a valid agreement, that whatever improvements they put into the house that might inure to your benefit when you sold the house, you would reimburse her for if the house wasn't sold to them. That's a reasonable expectation. And truth is, you sold the house for a profit. And if it were me, I would have said, you know what? She's not in great shape. Let me give her what she put into it and let her move on. That's what I would have done.
I did offer, when she started looking for another home right away, I went out with her, and I was more than willing to help her find another home. And if she at some point in the future, you know, was going to buy one, her father and I had already discussed, you know, we would each pay half the deposit. I've given her lots of money.
I've given her, that's true.
But I've always made her pay me back, and I think she's very ungrateful.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $19.50, which represents 1/2 of the amount that you invested in the house. The other half is not your claim, belongs to your husband.
Okay.
Got it? Good. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
26-year-old Ashley Beischer is suing the father of her child, Joshua Schmidt, for a loan to buy a motorcycle. Joshua claims Amy slashed his tires on 2 occasions.
All rise. Now, this is case number 521 on the calendar in the matter of Beischer versus Schmidt.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
This used to be your boyfriend. When you were having a lapse in judgment while he was your boyfriend, you co-signed on a credit card for him to buy a dirt bike because he couldn't get it on his own.
Correct.
And the agreement was that he was to make the payments faithfully on that credit card.
That's correct.
He did make payments for a period of time on the credit card, and you separated. But he agreed to continue to make the payments on his bike, which he was using and which he took with him. Correct?
Correct.
Then there came a time that you and your fiancé, this would be fiancé, went to purchase a car. And you found out that your credit was awful. When you checked to ascertain why, according to your complaint, you found out that Mr. Schmidt had not been faithfully making on time the credit card payments on his bike. So what you want now is you want him to pay off that credit card so that hopefully you can get your credit restored.
That's correct.
Mr. Schmidt says that he was paying off the credit card until you slashed his tires.
That's ridiculous.
Shh. So that the fault is really yours for slashing his tires, causing him to lose his job. Have we joined the issue, Mr. Schmidt? Hello? You say in your answer it's really her fault.
Yes, I believe it is.
Perfect. I would like to see the date of the credit card loan and the history of payments.
I have that right here. This only goes back a year. They wouldn't.
Fine.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Schmidt, on what day, sir, do you claim your tires were slashed?
On May 8th of 2006, I had 2 tires on my vehicle that were slashed. And then also again in October of 2006, I had another tire slash on my car.
Just a second. After which incident, sir, did you lose your job?
The second.
So it's really the October of 2006 incident that you claim caused you to lose your job.
Yes.
And fall behind in your payments.
Yes.
So it would be a fair statement, sir, that it wasn't until October of 2006 that you started making either late payments or skipping payments or anything else. Up until that time, they were okay.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Your Honor, can I point something out?
Shh. Maybe, if I need some help. Well, sir, in September of 2006, which was before your tire was slashed, you had a late fee of $39.
Okay.
That's before, right?
Yep.
And in August, which was before your slashed tires, you had a late fee of $39.
That would be after the first.
You just told me, sir, that you didn't lose your job until after the October incident.
Yes, but missing days of work.
No. Baloney. The issue was that after the October incident, you lost your job because of the tire slashing, causing you to fall behind in your payments. And you said to me prior to that time you were on time with your payments. So we now have August and September where you were late. Are you following me, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes, I am.
Who is this?
This is my witness, Jason.
Maybe. Jason. Now we have July. Late, Mr. Schmidt. And how much, sir, were you supposed to pay every month?
It's about $70.
So sometimes you didn't pay at all. And then you sort of doubled up the next month, right?
Yes.
You can't do that. You know you can't do that. Look at what we have here. A June late assessment. And you didn't make a payment. Whole month of June.
Is it possible, though, that me without a vehicle, how is it possible for me to get to work, to make money, to make payments on this?
What are you talking about? Who cares about whether you have a vehicle?
How do you get to work?
I don't care how you get to work. Walk, crawl, get your witness to pick you up. Now, let's go back to before the first incident, Mr. Schmidt, that you allege she slashed your tires, which you have to prove to me anyway. Let's go back to April. Now, even you will know, Mr. Schmidt, that April comes before May,
yes.
right? How do you account for the late charge in April, Mr. Schmidt?
I don't.
Right. So the cock and bull story that you gave me is just that. You've been making late payments on this loan forever, because we also have one for March. So what do I care how you get to work? How did Abe Lincoln get to school? I'm waiting for an answer.
Walk.
That's what he did. He walked. And you remember from grammar school how many miles he walked to school every day?
No, I don't.
I think it was 5 miles each way, wasn't it, Bert? I think something like that. 5 miles each way. Do you understand, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
When somebody else does a nice thing to you, what you're supposed to do is not be a pig. If you want to, you get the loan totally out of her name, and then if you want to screw up your credit, you do it. But you don't screw up her credit. Now, how much is left on the loan?
The grand total is about $6,700.
Well, the maximum I can award you is $5,000. You understand that? And the check will be directly to the credit card company which holds the loan.
Yeah.
You're still responsible, as is he, for the remainder of it.
Right.
And he's responsible to pay it.
Right.
Who do you work for?
I actually just got a new employment job. It's DeLuca and Tobin. It's a drilling company.
Well, you would have no objection if they deducted the remainder of the balance, anything over $5,000 from your check, would you? Listen to what I just said. You owe the money. You have the dirt bike, don't you?
Yes.
The maximum I can give her is $5,000. That will be made directly to the credit card company. You still owe them about $1,600. Are you prepared to sign an authorization to allow them to take the remainder of the money out of periodic payments out of your check?
Yes.
Perfect. We will prepare that order and send it over to the drilling company and any other company that you might work for subsequently. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Schmidt, you sure you want me to do this to your friend? You sure you want me to do this to your friend?
Yes.
Be my pleasure, sir.
And later today,
You can't complain about it if somebody says, this is really funny. I want to send it to everybody that I know who knows this jerk who posted this on Craigslist.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ashley Beischer claims the father of her child, Joshua Schmidt, owes for a $5,000 loan to buy a motorcycle. Joshua is countersuing, claiming Amy slashed his tires twice.
Okay, let's get to the slashed tires. Did you slash his tires in May?
Absolutely.
You don't look like a tire slasher.
No.
You didn't see her slash your tires, did you?
No, I didn't.
Did you?
I did not see her, no.
Step up. Your name?
Jason
Jason what?
Moyer,
How do you know her?
through him.
When was the last time you had any contact with her?
While.
A while is not a month,
Well,
a
I
year.
don't talk to her, but I've seen her around town.
When was the last time you had contact with her?
Last fall, her around there.
Tell me about that contact.
Well,
Look at me.
I was at the bar and I had walked by and
Bar, what bar?
Krieger's possibly.
What do you mean Krieger's possibly?
Well, it was either that bar or another one over there.
What time?
Probably 8 or 9 at night.
What date?
I'm not exactly sure.
What month?
October or November.
Mr. Schmidt, you sure you want me to do this to your friend? You sure you want me to do this to your friend?
Yes.
Be my pleasure, sir. You're walking by the bar that you don't know on a date that you don't remember, in a year that perhaps you remember, and tell me what you believe you have that is germane to this case.
Well, I had heard her and her friends laughing about how his tires had been popped.
Yes?
Yeah, so I assumed she had something to do with it.
Oh, well, then you assume. Good. Do you have anything else that's germane to this case?
I did pick him up for work, too, a couple times.
I don't care about that. Sit down. You have anything else on the tire slashing, sir?
I just have a copy of, actually, no, I do not have
Good.
this on me.
Thank you very much. Your counterclaim is dismissed. You owe $5,000, and we will prepare an order for the remainder of the $1,600 to be deducted automatically from your check. Forward that to your employer with my love and hugs and kisses. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I hope we have a friendship for my daughter's sake.
I do not know. Hopefully it gets better in time.
Just be a man. Take responsibility for his actions.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of London versus Bell. Step forward.
25-year-old Aaron London is suing his former co-worker, Corey Bell, for defaming his character at work. Aaron claims Corey passed around a phony Craigslist ad.
Mr. London, did you and the defendant work in the same company?
Yes, at one point we did.
This is your complaint. You put an ad in Craigslist. I gather you went to school to become a massage therapist?
Yes.
And you put an ad on Craigslist for massages with your picture on it. Does it have your picture?
Yes.
Mr. Bell saw that ad on Craigslist. Is that right, sir?
I did.
And he thought it was really funny that you had posted that ad on Craigslist. So far, am I right?
Yes.
So he circulated it around the office. He sent it to a lot of other people. He thought it was funny, like, you know, like people send jokes on the computer, and he sent it to a whole lot of other people. So you're suing him for defamation because you were very embarrassed.
Yes.
That's what this is all about. Mr. London, can I see the ad, please?
Yeah.
Okay. So this says, hello, ladies. Imagine casting your eyes upon this gorgeous whatever. It's got pictures of you, right? And it says, massage for big, beautiful women. Reply to personals, it looks like a number at Craigslist.org. And when people reply to this personal, they get you. Is that right?
Well, they get transferred to an email, yeah.
But it's you.
No, not in this particular case. There's a little bit more to the story that hasn't been revealed yet.
Sir, all I want to know
Yes.
is, it comes back to you.
Yes.
Now, is this the same ad that you sent to other people?
Yes.
You didn't modify it in any way?
No, didn't modify
You didn't
it.
change it, you didn't add words,
No,
you didn't...
no, I didn't. I just sent the link.
You sent the link and you said, take a look at this.
That's it.
That's not a crime, Mr. London. That's not a crime. That's not a lawsuit.
Yeah, there's a little bit more to it.
Well,
though.
give me 30 seconds, sir. That's what happened. You put this
Well-
ad that you didn't want to be circulated among your
No.
office mates. He circulated it among your office mates. If you didn't want it out there, you shouldn't have printed it.
Well, no, that actually isn't what happened. What happened is I work for the bank, and I also have a personal training and massage therapy business, like you said. And another kind of job side hustle that I do is I write personal ads for Craigslist. Also ads for businesses, whoever needs advertising.
Very nice.
who
I'm
lacks-
not an advertisement for you, sir. So you have a lot of businesses. You
And-
put this on Craigslist.
Yes, technically speaking.
That's what
But
we're here for.
That ad wasn't for me.
Who cares
I
who it
wrote
was
the ad
for?
for somebody else. This
Who cares who it was for? Who cares? He doesn't know that. All he knows is this is the ad that he saw on Craigslist. He had every right to send it to whoever he wanted to send it to.
to my workplace. Well, he doesn't work in the workplace anymore.
I don't care. He could have sent it to the King of Siam. He could have sent it to me. He could have sent it to the President of the United States. He could have sent it to the Vice President of the United States or the Secretary of the Interior. It doesn't make any difference. It's out there in cyberspace. It's open. That's what it is. It's like sending an open letter.
To send it to my job for what? For
Who
laughs?
cares? If you don't want to be embarrassed, you don't put embarrassing things on the internet, Mr. London. If you don't want to be embarrassed, keep your private thoughts to yourself.
But the ad is not mine, is what I'm trying to tell you. Can I actually tell you?
Listen, Mr. London, I understand the nonsense what you wrote in your complaint. You said you were doing an ad for somebody else, and this was just a sample of what the ad would look like. But Mr. Bell doesn't know that because you posted this on Craigslist.
But how does he know I posted it?
It doesn't make any difference whether he knows you posted it or not, sir. It's here. It's out there in the world. Just like he sees it, anybody else can see it. He can send it to whomever he wants to send it. The truth of the matter is, you did post it on Craigslist. Now, did somebody tie you down and take these pictures?
No, those are sample pictures.
Those are pictures that
The pictures don't even match the ad, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh,
it's
yes,
not
they
even...
do. Oh, yeah, listen, Mr. London, you can tell me whatever you want to tell me, sir. This may have aggravated you. It may have upset you. It's a very good lesson. If you want to think privately, you go, I want to take it all in, and this is what I want to do. I want to keep these thoughts to myself. If you want to give massages to big, beautiful women, and that's what you're thinking about, and I'm going to see it, but I'm not going to write it in a letter to my mother or my sister or my boyfriend or my girlfriend. I'm going to keep it to myself. Once you type it in the machine and you write send, it's over. It's out there. It's in Mexico and Burma and
Jersey
and Brooklyn. It's all over the place. And you can't complain about it if somebody says, this is really funny. I want to send it to everybody that I know who knows this jerk who posted this on Craigslist. So, Mr. London, grow up. You want to keep things to yourself? You want to talk into your pillow. Don't talk into your computer. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We were great friends. I mean, he sat on my couch. He got drunk with me. You know, we hung out together.
Well, it's not necessarily what was posted. It was the intent behind it.
If it was me, my friends would have sent out the same. I would have been embarrassed. Oh, okay, I got busted. I got caught. That's it. He got caught with his pants down.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Powell versus Rust. Step forward, please.
25-year-old Brenda Powell is suing her ex-roommate, Angela Rust, for breaching their rental agreement.
Thank you, Bird.
You're welcome, Judge.
Don't get comfy.
You're not going to be here long?
No.
Okay.
Miss Powell, this used to be your roommate.
Correct.
How long did you share an apartment together?
It was a period of about 5 months, but it was
Good.
supposed to have been 13.
And then, according to your complaint, owing to problems that were generated by the defendant, you had to move.
I had no choice, yes.
And you moved into another apartment, and the rent on that apartment was more than your half of the rent on the apartment that you shared together. So you want her to pay the difference on your one-bedroom apartment that you have to pay now because she wasn't a good roommate.
Correct.
Good. That's not a case. So, sorry to tell you, we don't do cases like that because it's ridiculous. If you wanted to move back with your mother, you could have done that. Who are you?
Her friend, Natalie.
Natalie, do you have an apartment?
I do.
You could have moved in with Natalie.
No.
In any event, there is no cause of action for paying the difference between the roommate's half and your apartment now. Do you understand? There's no cause of action for
Yes,
that.
there is. I was forced to move into the one bedroom. My only other option was to break the lease and pay $7,500.
Well, then maybe you should
And
have.
ma'am, I
Then maybe you
offered to
should have
help her.
done. I'm speaking. Then maybe you should have done that, and then you might have had a cause of action.
But I wouldn't have had a place to
But you
live.
don't have a cause of action by moving into a one-bedroom and asking her to pay the difference. That doesn't happen.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Rick Strand is suing his ex-wife, Marilyn Johnson, for back child support that she agreed to forgive after he agreed to forfeit his parental rights.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 464 on the calendar in the matter of Strand versus Johnson.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Strand, is this your ex-wife?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
And you have one child together.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your claim is that after you divorced, you were paying child support, not always consistently.
Yes.
And there came a time that your former wife remarried, and she approached you with the idea of asking you to relinquish your parental rights, allowing her husband to adopt your child, a girl, in exchange for forgiving the arrears that you owed her in child support.
Yes, Your Honor.
You thought about that and decided that that would be a good idea.
After a period of time, yes, Your Honor.
And did, in fact, go to court and relinquish your parental rights.
I didn't go to court. I just went to the lawyer and signed off on the papers.
When did you do that?
I believe it was approximately June of 2005.
So your parental rights were terminated.
Yes, after the adoption was finalized.
Your claim is the state is now coming against you for the $3,800 that you owed in back child support.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say that they're doing that despite the fact that you had an agreement with Miss Johnson.
Yes.
So you want the $3,800 because lots of bad things have happened to you. Like what, sir?
I've lost my driver's license and my source of income. I'm unable to find work right now.
What kind of work did you do?
I'm a truck driver by trade.
Miss Johnson says you never had a contract with her.
Correct.
When was this arrearage accumulated?
It started occurring when we'd separated before the divorce, and it had gone on and off when I'd get laid off in the wintertime and was unable to make payments through my unemployment until I got back to work and started paying again.
How many children did you have?
I have one with him.
And how many others?
2 others.
How old are they?
They are now 22 and 20.
So this was the only minor child?
Correct.
And what kind of work were you doing when you separated?
I was working, I'm not certain, ma'am.
Were you ever receiving any sort of public assistance?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
When?
When we separated in 95.
And how long were you receiving welfare?
Till September of 96, I believe. I'm not certain.
Subsequent to 1996, and you say you're not certain, so it could have been longer.
Or shorter.
Or shorter. Subsequent to that, were you ever receiving any sort of public assistance again?
Yes.
When?
I don't recall the date, but I was receiving daycare assistance when I was working.
And how much child support were you paying, Mr. Strand, when you were paying it?
It started out at $200 a month, and through cost of living increases, it had gone up every 2 years. The last time that it got increased, it went up to $404 every month.
Now, were you aware of the fact that your wife at that time and your daughter were receiving welfare?
I was aware of the fact that they were getting daycare assistance, yes.
Well, at some point she was getting welfare, and at some point she was getting daycare assistance, which is also another form of public assistance. And was it at that time that you were paying $200 a month?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you always paying the $200 a month, or was that during the period of time when you were laid off, seasonally?
I always paid it when I was working, and when I would get laid off or when I was in between jobs, I wasn't paying it. But when I did get back to work, I always made a point to either contact the county or my ex-wife or both right away to let them know where I was working so that it could continue to be collected.
You understand, Mr. Strand, that this is your problem. Even if I believe that you had an agreement with your former wife that she would forgive the arrearages, she can't bind the state with regard to the arrearages. And if this $3,800 bill accumulated at a time when your daughter was receiving any sort of assistance, whether it be daycare or regular public assistance, she can't forgive that money.
Your Honor, there was a separate amount that was owed to the state and an amount that was owed to my ex-wife as the custodial parent. The part that was owed to the state has already been taken care of a long time ago.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
When was that?
That was taken care of when I filed bankruptcy last October. It was a sum of $1,100, and I was able to put that onto my bankruptcy. So the $3,800...
So the state's never been paid?
No, the state was paid while I was paying child support. So much would go to my ex-wife, and so much would go towards what was owed to the state.
I thought you said that money was discharged in bankruptcy.
Not all of it, just what was owed at the time that I filed my bankruptcy. Yes.
So the state did not get their $1,100. You had it discharged in bankruptcy.
Yes.
Why didn't you add this money?
Because you're not allowed in the state of Minnesota to discharge
child support
until it gets turned over to your ex-wife or to collections as a debt owed.
Now, why, Miss Johnson, do you think that your former husband agreed to terminate his parental rights?
Your Honor, I believe that he looked at her as a dollar sign, and he was never keeping employment nor paying his bills, and he just felt that this was an easy way to get out of his obligation.
Well, you asked him to do that.
I suggested it, yes.
No, you asked him to do that. You approached him. He wouldn't think about that. You approached him. And what did you say when you approached him?
I just said that you are not being a very good father. My husband is willing to adopt our daughter. If you sign over your rights, I will consider it.
Consider what?
That I could sign off if it was...
If it was what?
If I was able to.
If you were able to what?
Sign it off.
Sign what off?
The back child support.
Well, why can't you? If the state's been paid, you can sign off the back child support.
Because I don't choose to.
But you made an agreement to do that, madam.
No, I did not.
Oh, yes, you did. You did. Because I don't believe that under those circumstances he would have gone to your lawyer. By the way, who paid his lawyer?
I don't know, ma'am.
I didn't have a lawyer, Your Honor.
Whose lawyer did you go to?
Mine.
I went to her lawyer to sign.
Oh, so you went to her lawyer.
Yes.
Made an appointment for him to go to see your lawyer.
He made an appointment, yes.
Who you paid.
Yes.
Miss Johnson, I don't believe you. And I have to make a judgment. You want to try to convince me that you didn't make an agreement with him and not give me this answer I choose not to? Come on.
He was just not paying his child support, Your Honor.
So you said to him, I'll forgive your child support if you sign over your parental rights.
No, I did not. I said my husband has an interest in being my daughter's father, and if you would sign off, he says, could we then forgive that child support? And I said, we'll talk about it. But
no, I don't believe that. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
You want to know something? You're a scammer. I don't know how you got Social Security disability. At age 47, I know people who were 67 with asthma, they work. You must have had a really, really fine lawyer.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rick Strand claims ex-wife Marilyn Johnson owes for back child support that she agreed to forgive. Rick says the state is coming after him for the money.
So, the two of you signed an agreement when you came here. It was a binding arbitration, is that correct?
Yes.
I will draft an order to the state. What state?
State of Minnesota.
That I have determined after a hearing that you agreed to vacate any child support arrears that were owing to you in exchange for his agreement to terminate his parental rights and allow your husband to adopt a child. That is my finding. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Sir, wait here. Sir.
He was just looking at our daughter as a dollar sign.
That upsets me greatly.
And he was trying to get out of his obligation of being a father.
I've always been a good father.
It's another one of his lies.
Well, I've already signed off on my parental rights.
Just leave us alone.
But I would hope that someday she'd want to talk to me and interact with me.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Alvarez versus Burgos. Step forward.
Store owner Daniel Alvarez is suing his customer, Carmen Burgos, for cashing a counterfeit check at his store. Carmen says she was the victim of an internet scam.
Mr. Alvarez, what kind of store do you have, sir?
I have a general store. We sell music, we cash checks, we sell satellite. It's a little bit of everything.
The defendant was a customer of yours?
A regular customer. She had been there at least 4 or 5 occasions cashing checks.
And you charge a fee for that?
Yes, we do.
According to your complaint, sir, she came in with a check, which you cashed for her.
Correct.
And it turned out to be a bad check.
Yes.
And your bank withdrew the money from your account. You want her to compensate you for the check.
That is correct.
Ms. Burgos says it was a bad check. She was conned with this check, and she's sorry that you're out the money, but it's not her fault. It's the fault of the people who scammed her. That's her defense. Is that correct,
Yes,
Ms.
Your
Burgos?
Honor. I
Right.
shouldn't
So
be
I
held
want you to
liable
tell
for it.
What?
I shouldn't be held liable for it because I had
Ms.
the
Burgos.
evidence. Yes.
Let's start from the beginning. Where did you get this check from?
It was mailed to me.
From an employer?
No, I'm always on the computer and I'm always filling out sweepstakes and filling out numbers for lotto and that. So when I received the check...
So you received the check because you thought you won a prize?
Yes, correct.
But she didn't tell me that, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Don't interrupt her.
I'm sorry.
Your Honor, he wasn't there at the moment.
Listen to me.
Yes.
You got a check in the mail and you didn't know where it came from.
Correct. Yes, I thought
So
it was
you
a
thought maybe
sweepstake.
you won a prize that you had played around with on the computer?
Yes, correct.
You have a copy of the letter?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Well, I have a copy because I gave Mr. Alvarez the original and the envelope dedicated.
Just says, shh. Mr. Alvarez, I don't want you to interrupt her.
That's the original.
That is the original.
Cool.
And I also gave him the envelope statement.
Now, this letter says that you won the North American Ballot Sweepstakes.
Correct.
And it tells you to call Debbie Baum in Canada.
Yes, Your Honor, and that's who I called.
Just for my own information, when you called her, what is it that you claim she said to you?
Well, I called her because at first I, like, well...
Joe, tell me. Just answer my question.
I asked her about that I had received a check for a sweepstake for the sum of $2,900. And she told me yes, and I told her, well, it says here for processing. She goes, oh, no, that's no problem. You could go ahead and change. That's part of what you have won. There's 72 people that are in
I
with
read the
it,
letter.
too.
There's 72 people that are going to share in $1.8 million.
Right, and that's just the beginning of it, so you could
Fine.
go ahead and cash it.
Cash
So
it.
that's right.
Fine.
I went to
Do you have a
Mr.
copy of the check?
Yes, I have
I'd
the
like
original.
to see it. Oh, you have the original?
Yes,
Love
the
to
bank
see it.
returned it to me.
Love to see it. Shh. So you took the check into him?
Yes, correct.
To cash?
Yes. Like I've taken other checks.
State Employees Credit Union of Maryland, Inc. Well, I have to tell you, this certainly looks like, to my untrained eye, an official kind of check.
Correct. That's why I went to him and I cashed it.
Miss Burgos, I got it. You thought you woke up and it was your lucky day.
Yes, correct.
Bird, take a look at this. An interesting looking check. Right?
Oh, it even says official check.
It even says
Correct.
official
That's
check.
why I never-
And, just a minute, and they don't even ask you to do anything, like
Correct.
send them
That's
back
why-
half in this letter.
That's why I was
Shh,
like...
Don't, I'm speaking. Don't bother me. They don't even ask you to send back half. You know, sometimes say, send us $500 as a processing fee, and they just say, here's your $2,900.
Does it back?
Yeah, she signed it, and it came back that it was suspected counterfeit. In any event, you gave her the money.
Yes, I did.
You have proof of that?
Just from the bank when they took the money out because...
I'd like to see it. Now, when you were notified by the bank,
Right.
yeah, they charged your account for $29.50.
Correct.
Okay. Now, when did you cash the check for her? On what date?
Around the 14th of November.
And the bank returned the check to you when?
They didn't return it until the 20th or 21st, but they notified me 2 days later. First,
So
they
on the
notified me.
16th.
Correct.
And when did you
I'm sorry, Your Honor,
notify?
it was after that.
Stop talking out. This is not a tea party. Now, when did you notify Miss Burgos?
That same day.
On the 16th, 2
Exactly.
days later.
Exactly.
How did you notify her?
I called her son-in-law because I know her son-in-law very well, and I called him up and I asked him to bring her over.
And when did he bring her over?
That same day.
On the 16th?
Exactly.
Okay, now tell me on the 16th what you said to her and what she
I
said.
told her, Miss Burgos, this check has returned counterfeit from the bank.
And she said to you?
I didn't know, and she produced this letter.
Good.
Correct. I said I
Just-
didn't
just
know.
So why didn't you return the money to him?
At the moment, I didn't have the money. I had paid some of debts that I had.
Just
So
a second. What difference does that make to him? Put your hand down. First of all, it's 2 days later.
It's not 2 days later, Your Honor. It was more than 2 days
How
later.
many days?
It was about 4 or 5 days later.
4 days later.
Correct.
Show me what debts you paid.
Well, I had some medical bills that I had to pay, so I went
Just a
ahead.
second. So you paid your medical
Sure.
bills.
I
Medical
was
bills.
like-
What else? What else
I
did you
paid
pay?
my electric bill, my phone bill, all my bills, and I
Now,
had
let me
a
ask
few
you this question, Ms. Burgos. Before you came into this cash windfall, how did you pay your electric bill?
Well, I would pay it monthly.
From what?
From what I receive and also
What do you
my
mean from what you
children's-
receive? I don't understand that statement. Do you
Well,
work?
I get a Social Security check every month.
For what?
For disability.
What's the nature of your disability?
For asthma, arthritis.
You have asthma and arthritis and you can't work?
No.
I know a lot of people who have asthma and arthritis who can work just fine.
I was diagnosed with disability. So I...
Wait, just a second. When were you diagnosed with a disability from asthma and arthritis?
2 years ago.
Ms. Burgos, I'm believing less and less of what you tell me, madam, but I will tell you this. If you paid your bills, which you are responsible for paying, your medical bills, your electric bill, your phone bill, and I don't care what other kind of bills you paid, allegedly, and I know
And
you're
also I
lying.
bought
Listen
a
to
few-
me, and I know you're lying anyway.
No, I bought
Listen
a
to
few
me.
Christmas
Listen to me
presents,
very
yes.
carefully, and I know you're lying anyway. Then you have to pay him back the money.
Correct.
You paid your bills. You paid your bills. You're a scammer.
She told me
Let me
right-
ask you this question. Who do you live with?
I live with my son and my daughter.
How old are they?
My daughter's 22 and my son is 19.
And what does your daughter do for a living?
She works. And my son
your
also.
son?
He works.
Works.
They're the ones that help me with all the bills.
Because you don't work?
Yes.
Because of your asthma?
Yes.
She didn't tell me that. That day when she came in, she told me that she had only spent about $500 to
No, I
$700
told you that's
of
what
the
I
money.
Miss
had. I had
Burgos,
500
Miss
to
Burgos.
I
$700.
asked her specifically.
That's what I
I'm
told
sorry.
him I had.
Did you give it to him?
No, because he told me...
Shh. So why did you spend that money instead of giving it back to him?
Well, I didn't have it on me at that time.
Why didn't you go home and get it?
The gentleman told me, Mr. Alvarez told me that he was going to send that letter, the letter from that they had received to the bank. Yes, it is, Mr. Alvarez.
Just
that
a second.
He was going
So
to take
what?
that
If
letter
there's a
to the
question,
bank.
listen to me. If there's a question, why didn't you say, listen, if there's a question and if this check was bad, I don't want Mr. Alvarez to be out the rest of this money. I'm going to hold what I haven't spent and give it to him if he's out of pocket.
Well, I had held it. I had it.
So
and
why
when-
didn't you give it to him?
Because when I spoke to Mr. Alvarez on the phone, I told him I have the $500. He says, no, I want all the money. That's what he said.
That is
and I
true.
says, well, I don't have all the money at the moment, okay? I could give you at least $500 at a time. He said, no, I want all the money at the same time.
You want to know something? You're a scammer.
It was-
You've been scamming
no.
Social Security in all probability for the
No,
last
I
2
haven't.
years. I don't know how you got Social Security disability. How old are you?
I'm 47.
47. I know people who are 67 with asthma, they work.
No, I am disabled.
You must have had a really, really fine lawyer. You owe him $2,950, Miss Burgos. You were a scammer, and you knew you did the wrong thing as soon as he told you that that check came back.
Yes.
People very rarely get windfalls of money from the internet. Very rarely. Don't look like this to me.
I'm not a scammer because
I don't know how I got
that
Social
check.
Security disability. I don't know where I got this check from. I don't know. Well, now you know that this man who was doing you a favor cashed your check and got penalized because of your stupidity. He got penalized. But you said, listen, I got the money. Let him go after the people. Let him go after. I'm speaking.
No, I didn't.
Let him go after the
think that
people.
way. I did not think that way.
Well, then you
I did
should
not
have
think
returned
that
the
way.
money that you hadn't spent.
Okay, I did not. He didn't want the money that I had not spent.
So you spent the rest. Just a second. Hey,
I still have the $500.
You're supposed to set an example, Miss Burgos, for your children. You're not supposed to be a scammer.
I'm not a scammer.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And you believed in getting something for nothing.
No, I
And
have
you put
never
him in a
believed
very
that getting
precarious
nothing for
position.
nothing.
You've got a lot of nerve.
I've never.
You've got a
believed
lot
I
of
would
nerve.
get
Your children
something for
should
nothing.
not. Your children are not going to be proud of you after today. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $29.50. That's all. Step out.
Please excuse.
21-year-old administrative assistant Monica Zamora is suing her ex-fiancé, 22-year-old customer service rep Ronald Jones, for unpaid rent and medical bills resulting from an altercation. Ronald has a countersuit for the cost of his furniture after she slashed it with a knife.
Order. All rise. Yana, this is case number 602 and 604 on the calendar. One in the matter of M. Zamora versus Jones, the other one in the matter of R. Zamora versus Jones. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
According to your complaint, you and the defendant were living together. You planned on getting married. Didn't work out. He moved out.
Right.
You claim he owes you some money for some rent, some bills, and in addition, shortly after he moved out, he came back, there was an altercation, and he injured you, and you want him to pay your medical bills.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when did he move out?
He moved out in June of '99.
And what month's rent do you claim he owes you?
Last month's rent.
Which month?
October.
But he wasn't living there.
No. His name was still on the lease, so I expect him to still pay half.
And how much was the rent?
The rent was $430.
Okay. Now, what kind of damage did he do when he moved out?
While he was leaving, police officers were present because previous altercations between us, after he did leave, there were damages done to the apartment.
After he left?
Right after he took all the furniture and everything out with him.
Like what kind of damage?
Holes burnt in the carpet, holes in the walls. I have pictures if you would like to see.
I'd like to see the pictures, and I would like to see the landlord's estimate. Have you moved out of the apartment?
Yes, I have.
When did you move out?
I moved out in October.
Now tell me about the next part of your lawsuit, which has to do with an assault.
He came to my apartment after he had left. He had heard rumors that I was seeing somebody new and got jealous.
When was that?
This was in September. He came to my apartment. We got into an argument. We ended up outside, and an altercation happened between us.
Well, tell me about it.
I was arguing with his new girlfriend, and he grabbed me by my arms, putting multiple bruises on me, which I also have pictures of. We were pushing and shoving, and my knee popped. The ambulance was called. I went to the emergency room.
Well, how did your knee get popped?
He pushed me.
Not true at all. Not true at all, Your Honor.
How did he push you?
When he had grabbed me by my arms, I was trying to make him let go of me. I tried to get away. He grabbed me from behind with his right hand around my throat. When I was trying to get away from that, I was twisting and turning since he had a hold of me, and that resulted in my knee popping.
Were you fighting with his girlfriend?
No, I was not.
Were you fighting with him?
Yes, I was.
How were you fighting with him?
Trying to get his arms off me.
How did you get outside?
I was trying to get him out of my apartment.
How were you doing that?
He tried to shove his way in my door, and I told him to leave. It resulted in a fight. He tried to steal my cat, try to get my cat back. After that, that's when he grabbed me by my arms and then grabbed me from behind with his...
How did you try to get your cat back?
Just ran after him.
Were you arrested for that?
No, ma'am, I was not.
Were you taken into custody?
No, ma'am.
No charges were ever filed with regard to that case?
Later on, about a month later.
I pressed charges the same day, Your Honor.
About a month. It was about a month later. I've received a phone call from my father at work. Said that there was police officers came for a warrant. I turned myself in, and then it proceeded from there. I had to go to court for it and everything.
Well, that's what I want to know. You did go to court. Did you have a lawyer?
Yes, I did.
Did you appear before a judge?
Yes.
Was the case resolved?
Yes.
How was it resolved?
I had deferred prosecution, where I had to stay away. We had to both stay away from each other for 180 days. If no altercations were occurred in 180 days, then the case was dismissed.
You may call it a deferred prosecution, but it really is a period of 6 months probation.
Okay.
Did your lawyer explain that to you?
No, he didn't explain it to me fully. Like I said, he said I had no charges were pending or anything like that. The prosecutor informed me that there wasn't enough evidence and I had too many witnesses.
Don't tell me what the prosecutor told you about not enough evidence. There wasn't enough evidence. You should have insisted on a trial. Then you would not have had a 6-month probationary period. What did you go to her house for in September?
I was with her sister and my girlfriend here. We went to her house. I dropped her sister off. She said she had to talk to her. And at that time, we had a cat that I got, and it was running around in the stairs. It ran up the stairs. I followed the cat. She was already talking to her sister at the time with the door open. I went up there to get the cat. I picked up the cat. Then the man that moved in with her after I left the place started saying stuff to me, arguing with me. Then she proceeded to argue with me. She came at me, smacked me in my face, started punching me in my chest.
Not true.
I went to walk away. Her sister grabbed her, told her to leave me alone, to let me go. I grabbed the cat, proceeded down the stairs, got all the way outside of the apartment building. She ran past me, went to my car where my girlfriend was sitting. The window was cracked. She was talking on her cell phone. She proceeded to stick her hands through the window, the cracked window, grabbed her by the hair,
Not true.
and started pulling her out through the window.
Did that happen?
Yes, it did.
Go ahead.
That time she grabbed her, I told her to let her go. I did grab her arms to pull her hands away from her hair. I said, let go of her hair, let go of her hair. She said, no, I'm not going to let go. I said, let go of her hair and I'll let you go. She finally let go of her hair. I backed away, and then she proceeded at me again to hit me. She got out of the car. Then Monica proceeded to go after her. When she started proceeding to go after her, she hurt her knee, fell down.
Your Honor,
Then
I
the
have
ambulance was
pictures
called.
of the multiple bruises that were on my arms that he gave me.
Oh, I'll take a look
There's
at
no other
them.
way I could have gotten these.
I'll take a look at them. How do you think that happened, Miss Zamora? How do you think these black and blue marks happened?
By him. He gave them to me.
How?
By grabbing me and holding on to me. He's done it for 5 years. It wasn't the first time.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Monica Zamora says her ex-fiancé, Ronald Jones, owes her for rent and for medical bills resulting from an altercation. Ronald says Monica slashed his furniture and slandered his name on the internet.
All this isn't as clear as you make it appear. I want you to know that I understand that. He says that there was another person that moved into the house shortly after he left.
He lied
So I'm
about
go-
that.
Just a second. Did you at that time have some other person, a male, staying over occasionally at your house?
No, ma'am. Never did he stay one night. Yes, I started seeing somebody. This is the reason he came to my apartment.
I mean, I don't see why he would come over there with his new girlfriend.
His new girlfriend is my new boyfriend's ex-girlfriend.
So
That's the
what?
reason they're together.
So what?
There was
different-
nobody staying with me.
Listen to me.
I had 3 jobs to pay my bills.
Listen to me. He didn't come over there because he was jealous. He may have come over there because his girlfriend said to him, why are you being such an idiot and paying the rent when he's staying over there with her? Now, that may or may not have been true. Certainly, he was there on that September day when this altercation took place. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Put your hand down. You know, you have to be objective even with regard to your own children, right? Now, I want to know why you went outside.
He took my cat and grabbed it. That was a gift to me.
So you went outside after him?
Yes, I did.
And are you telling me you never went over to his car?
No, I didn't. I didn't even
Step
see,
up.
Didn't even see his car.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Jennifer.
Jennifer what?
Martinez.
I want you to tell me about this day in September of 1999, if you can recall it.
Well, like Ron said, I was sitting in the car talking on my cell phone. The window was cracked about maybe this much, and she reaches her hand in the car and says, get out. And she's grabbed me by the side of my hair. She has me by the side of her hair. I asked her, what are you doing? She said, get out. So she reaches her other hand, and at this point in time, both arms are in about this deep. She busted my face on the left side underneath my eye. At that time, Ron went over there. He was like, look, let her go. There's no need for this. We're leaving. We're leaving. We're leaving. So she's like, no, get her out of the car. I want to beat her up and so forth and so on for whatever reasons of her own. To this day, I don't know. Fine. So she tries to get me out of the car. So I told her, how am I going to get out the car out of a crack of a window? Let me open the door. So she's all pressed up against the door.
Okay, that's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. Sit down.
Thank you.
Sit down. I want to hear something, Mr. Jones, about your countersuit.
Okay.
You say that Miss Zamora took a knife and ripped up furniture.
That's correct.
Tell me about it.
That day, the day I moved out, she called the cops because I wanted to move out.
Why would the police be called to the house?
Because I wanted to take my stuff with me, and she thought that she was able to keep it. When everything was in my name, I had receipts for it. I showed the police.
Okay, so that's why the police were called, because
Yes.
you were taking some property out of the house. Okay, and what happened?
The police told me I had to get my stuff and go as soon as possible. So they waited there. They waited there until I got my stuff out. Before the police were called, before the police got there, I was moving some stuff downstairs to the...
What stuff?
I was moving clothes. I was getting my clothes, putting them in bags, and taking them downstairs to the basement, so when my family got there to help me move, I'd be all ready. When I came back up, she was putting a knife back into the kitchen sink. I started to proceed to move the furniture out of the living room, and there were slashes in the side of them. I do have pictures if you'd like to see those.
Can I see them, please?
I saw the furniture.
There's one slash, is that right? Is that what you're telling me?
There's a slash in each end of the couch and the love seat.
I see. Did you do this?
No, ma'am.
There's no reason for me to rip my own furniture when I paid for it.
No.
There was.
I paid for that furniture. That furniture was in both of our names, but it didn't matter to me. I just wanted him to leave.
Well, why do you think somebody would slash the furniture like that?
I have no idea why he would do that.
I have
Or
no
who
idea
else
why
would do
anybody
it.
would
I don't
do
know.
that to their furniture either. All right. There's another part of this lawsuit. Now you can stand up, Mr. Zamora, because you're suing him because you say he borrowed $350 to use as a security deposit for the apartment. Did he borrow that money for security deposit?
He borrowed the money to get an apartment and incidentals. He did not have a place to live. He had just started to work.
Security deposit is $445. Who put down the security deposit?
I borrowed the money from him, Your Honor, for the security deposit.
So you put
Yes.
down the security deposit on the apartment
I
with
put
his money.
Right. I put down a first month's rent, and he loaned me the rest of it for the security deposit, which I borrowed $550 from him.
And you paid some
I
back?
paid some back.
So $350 is left. Is that right, Mr.
Yes.
Zamora? So your daughter did not put down any security deposit in this apartment. Is that right?
Correct.
The cleaning and painting is just $395.
Yes, I'm only asking for half the last month's rent, but I want him to pay for all of the damages because he did the
No. $395 is cleaning and painting.
Okay.
Half of that, say it's $200.
Okay.
But he's already got $350 in there for security deposit because she didn't put any in. You can't get it both ways. You can't get your loan back from him, plus you're going to get back the money from the security deposit that's not eaten up by the landlord's cleanup. Can't get both. You following me? Perfect. So, in addition, I don't believe your daughter with regard to what happened that day in September when she called the police and there was an altercation at the house. I don't believe her story. What?
We have previous police reports of their altercations.
I don't care about previous. That's not what I'm here talking about. I'm telling you, I do not believe the story that your daughter told me that he assaulted her the way she described it and that she was solely without blame. I do not.
It takes two to argue.
I do not believe that it came about the way she described it to me, that he, for no reason whatsoever, assaulted her. I do not believe it happened that way.
We have previous police reports of him assaulting her.
Stop it!
Oh, no. I mean, so he's not going to stop assaulting her unless you tear him apart.
I believe that she got bruised in the arm because she went after his girlfriend in the car. I believe that that happened. I'm not saying you're blameless with regard to the altercation that happened in the house. I believe that you shouldn't have been there.
Correct.
Period. End of discussion. You should not have been there. You precipitated something that developed into maybe more than what you bargained for. You had no cause to be there at all. But I do not believe it happened in the way that the plaintiff described, so I am not holding you responsible for her medical bills. You have a hospital report?
I should.
Sir, and I'm not even entertaining your defamation of character end of your lawsuit. She said she put nasty things about you on the internet?
Yes, Your
Like
Honor.
what?
I have a paper printout of from American Online.
Let me see it. Do you have a report from any of these?
A report?
That says that what the x-rays found?
I think that's all I have, Your Honor.
Show this to the plaintiff, please. Is that your handle on the internet?
No, it's not. But it's funny. But no, I did not do this.
What proof do you have that you did that?
That is her online name. Her nickname is Coca. Since I've been with her for 5 years, it's always been that. My friend was online. She emailed him. He didn't know who it was. He looked up her online, her profile. That's under her profile. He called me the next morning and told me what was going on. So I asked him to print me a copy of it.
Did you ever use the name Coca?
Yes, it's been my name for a long time.
Well, why didn't you say that? I said, is this your handle? You said no.
Oh, I thought you asked me if I did that.
I didn't ask you if you did that. I said, is this your handle?
Yes, it is.
Uh-huh. Why would anybody put such a terrible thing on the computer?
I don't know, ma'am. I can't tell you because I didn't do it.
No?
I did not type those things. Anybody could have typed that.
Well, I know that. I know that anybody could have done it.
Could have even been her sister. Her sister has added quite a bit of fuel to the flames between these two, including taking him to the apartment.
Could have been a lot of things. Somebody else could have used her name, and somebody else with a grudge against both the defendant and his new girlfriend might have written that both of them are highly contagious with one or more venereal diseases. So there may have been somebody who used your daughter's name, who also had a personal axe to grind against these two people, who would write something like this and put it on the internet. That's possible. It's a bit far-fetched. It's a bit far-fetched. If I was satisfied by the required quantum of proof that she had, in fact, done this, oh, I would award you substantial damages.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Sure.
I'm very familiar with online. You cannot get on somebody's profile without your password to get into that computer.
How do I know about this profile? How do I know that somebody used
That's
her
exactly
profile?
what that statement is from. That's from her profile. That's why she puts her nickname in there. That is her profile.
Do you understand that? Bert, all I want to know from you is...
You can't get onto somebody's profile.
Could anybody have written that?
Fundamentally, Judge, anybody could have written this.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I want to tell you something. I'm not convinced that you're going to get a penny from the assault, because I think that you were at least partially involved with her, which caused the bruises to your arms, so you're not going to get a penny for that. You're not going to get a penny for your $350 that is outstanding from the loan. Get it back from the landlord when the lease is over. You are going to get $215 towards October rent. You understand? That you're going to get. I am, in fact, satisfied that the plaintiff did damage your furniture, because I see no reason why somebody else would damage furniture that they intended to use that looked brand new to me. Do you understand?
Yes.
You understand. So I'm offsetting the $215 that he owes you for the rent to have your furniture repaired. Goodbye, folks.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
22-year-old carpet layer Christopher Majeski is suing his ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old homemaker Tracy Yamry, for belongings he claims she took from a storage shed. Tracy is countersuing, claiming Christopher broke into her home.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 194 on the calendar in the matter of Majeski versus Yamry. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Majeski, according to what I've read, sir, you and the defendant were involved in a relationship, lived together in various places, and the two of you rented a storage unit, right?
Correct.
The storage unit was in her name.
Correct.
And when you ultimately broke up, you took your stuff out of the storage unit.
Yes.
But you asked to keep the storage unit because you still had stuff there.
Right.
And the agreement was you were supposed to make the payments on the storage unit because she didn't have any stuff there anymore. Right?
Right.
Then, according to you, you started to receive delinquent notices from the storage unit.
About 3 months after I left and went back to my mother's house, I was receiving delinquent notices that the rent hasn't been paid. And I was
on the storage unit?
Yeah, on the storage unit. I called him numerous times asking him to pay this off. And he, oh, I'll do it, I'll do it.
Did that have a ring to it, sir?
Yes.
So you went to the storage unit and you cleaned it out?
Yes. No, I didn't clear it out. I took what I could take or what I thought would be the amount that he owed me. I had my cousin's boyfriend's
What do you mean the
truck.
amount he owed you? What is
for
that
the
mean?
for the storage shed, about the $100. I rounded it up to $100. I got $80 that he owed.
Did you pay for the storage unit?
No, I didn't.
So what did he owe you money for?
I wanted to take this as collateral to know that he would pay off the storage shed.
What did you take with you?
A couple lamps, a microwave, a kitchen set, and there was a couple of miscellaneous boxes with miscellaneous stuff in it.
Okay, what was left?
Everything else that was in his storage shed, everything else.
And what did you do when you left the storage shed?
I shut it back up and locked it, and then I left.
Ultimately, you went to the storage unit and found it emptied out. And you were still, at that point, delinquent in payments.
Yes.
So the question is, what happened to the rest of his stuff?
I don't know.
Well, let me see the police report. What proof do you have that she took all your stuff?
Because some of the stuff that she gave back were in different boxes. All little figurines and stuff from Las Vegas that my mom had given me. They were all in different boxes. She took the vacuum cleaner that I did not get back yet. I seen in her apartment, and a couple other odd items.
What do you want to say? You could stand up. Go ahead.
Tracy had said that she only wanted the $100, take $100 worth. Well, just what she mentioned was well over $100 worth.
He got it back.
Not all of it.
Got back most of it. You have his vacuum cleaner?
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. We've seen it in there.
You have any other stuff that belongs to him?
No, I don't. And I would like to point out that on August 26th of this year, my witness, Mark, was at a bar downtown in St. Cloud. And Chris approached Mark in the bar. Can I have him come up?
I assume you have something to say. You're Mark.
Hi, yes, I'm Mark.
Go ahead.
Chris had noticed me up on stage in a bar. I was doing some dancing. He came up to me and he said, "Mark, I'm sorry for everything that's going on. I dropped the case because I don't think Tracy has my stuff anymore. I think has it, which is another guy. I don't know. I have no idea who he is."
Who's?
This is another friend that I suspected him and her taking it.
So
Because
first you thought it was somebody else that
Yes.
took your property?
I thought it was.
Hmm?
Yes, I had.
And how did you retrieve the rest of your stuff? The stuff that she had in her apartment?
She later on gave it to my mom, but the vacuum cleaner's still not there, and it wasn't in the
Stop with the
apartment.
vacuum cleaner. What did she give back to your mom?
A microwave, bookshelf, dresser, a box of like a few movies, little odd things, kitchen utensils, and that's about it.
Did you need a little truck to go and get the stuff?
Yeah, the dresser was big.
So she gave that back to your mom. Good. And she called you and she said, this is the time you can come pick it up?
The police called, but there wasn't everything in there that she was supposed to take it.
Well, we don't know that she took it, madam. That's your problem.
Well,
Your son was not
responsible.
responsible. Your son was not responsible in making the payments as he should have. Did you know he was supposed to make payments on this storage unit?
He is of age, and that I guess that was none of my business. Who
Good. You're absolutely right. Have a seat. Now I'm going to hear about your counterclaim, and I want to hear about it quickly.
After our mutual friend showed up at our apartment that day.
Which mutual friend?
Erica.
Yeah?
I was laying on my couch. I was about 6 months pregnant. This was in November. I was about 6 months pregnant.
November of '99?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mark had left to go to work, and he locked the door every morning. Every morning I went onto the couch because it was easier for me to sleep on the couch. I heard him lock the door that morning. I was awake. Then I fell back asleep. About 10 o'clock, I woke up and I heard somebody calling my name. And at first, I thought it was maybe an older woman in our apartment that needed my help. And I'm like, no, the door is locked. And I woke up and I saw Chris standing in my dining room, and I saw his mom off in my little hallway area. And I woke up and I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. And I asked them, like, how did you guys get in my apartment? And they're like, you know why we're here. And I'm like, you guys need to leave my apartment. And they weren't leaving. I was yelling at the top of my lungs for them to leave. In the meantime, Chris is walking around my apartment, just helping himself in. I told them to leave again. They would not leave. I got frustrated. I walked out of my apartment, and that's when they exited my apartment. I walked down to the caretaker's apartment building, paged Mark with the labor code so he knew to come home right away, and called the cops.
Let me see the police report.
I called the cops.
They wouldn't give me a police report. They said that it was hearsay, that he said the door was unlocked, and I know the door was locked.
Just a second.
And they said it was hearsay.
You acknowledge that you and your mother went to the apartment. Yes. What were you doing there in November?
November?
Yeah.
When I got my stuff back.
No, in November, when you and your mom went to her house.
We didn't go to her house in November.
When did you go to her house?
This was just this year that we went. I finally found my stuff back this year. It was way more than 6 months, Your Honor.
Just a second. It was more than 6 months?
Yes.
So your stuff stayed in her house even longer than you said?
As far as I can remember.
So just a minute, according to you, your stuff stayed in her house even longer than 6 months?
Yes.
Well, what'd you wait so long for, sir?
I didn't know she had it.
Shh! What'd you wait so long for?
I didn't know she had it, Your Honor.
Just a second. You made a police report in March of 1999. Now you're telling me that it wasn't until 2000 that you went to her house to get your stuff back.
No, the police report, Your Honor, was the only police report I have is from the day it was stolen from the storage shed.
No, you don't know the day it was stolen from the storage shed.
Well, the day I found it.
The day you found it, which was in March of 1999. So in March of 1999, if you believe stuff is stolen from the storage shed, you go to the police and you say, I believe I know the person who did it. In March of 99, they will go to her house and say, do you have her property? You ask for an escort. You didn't go in March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. According to you, you didn't go until the year 2000 sometime, which is at least 10 or 11 months later. Why?
Because I didn't know she had it, Your Honor. I suspected her and Josh, and I didn't know it was her.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christopher Majeski says ex-girlfriend Tracy Yamry stole his belongings out of a storage shed.
How did you get into the house?
We knocked on the door, and we opened the door. My mom called her name and walked in. There was
You can't do that. You can't do that.
Tracy said yes. She pretty much invited us in. She said
no,
yes.
now you're lying, sir.
No. That's
now
what
you're lying.
She said yes. She replied.
I don't believe you.
Well, she said.
I don't believe you.
And we knocked
You
on the
mean
door,
after
called
10
her name,
months,
and she replied.
after 10 months, you arrive at her house with your mother, and what you said was, put your hand down. You knocked at the door, and the door was open, so you walked in. That's what you said. That's what you said.
The police officers
you
looked at the door.
can't do that.
The police officers agreed that there was no forced entry, nothing was wrong.
It doesn't have to be a forced entry. I didn't say there was a forced entry. You mean if somebody comes to my door, knocks at my door, which happens to be open, and I choose not to respond, that person who's knocking at my door has a right to walk into my house?
She
Is that what yours?
Your Honor.
No, you
Yes.
just made that up.
No, she
You just
responded-
made that up
she
because
responded by
first,
saying yes.
no,
It's not true.
She even said it. She said, yes, who is it? You know, she thought it was somebody else, and she replied, yes. Like, question like, yes, who is it?
Yes. Oh, like, yes, who is it? Okay, yes, who is it? And what did you say?
We just walked in. My mom
Then you just walked in. Why didn't you answer? You mean to tell me
Look,
because
Your
somebody
Honor.
says, yes, who is it, you're entitled to walk in?
We called the police, and they couldn't do nothing for us. What else was I supposed
Your
to do?
case is dismissed, sir. You're full of baloney. As far as you breaking and entering, I'm awarding you $1. This is a long time ago, madam.
Thank
right?
you.
You understand? You get $1 on your counterclaim. You get Zippo.
What?
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She wasn't sleeping. First she said she was awake, hearing him unlock the door. Second, she said she was sleeping, waking up to us. You know, it's just, she lied through the whole thing. That's what she does best.
He's trouble. He's a troublemaker.
And now the next case.
All parties on Cento versus Hamrick. Step forward, please.
22-year-old mold setter Chrissy Settle is suing her brother, 24-year-old factory worker Gary Hamrick, for an unpaid loan and a wrecked Buick.
Miss Sentel, the defendant is your brother.
Yes.
And there are several parts of your complaint. Let's deal with the easy ones first. There was a time when your brother was living with you. When was that?
June through September.
Of this year?
Yes.
And you claim that during that time, he borrowed some money. You didn't specify how much, that he hasn't paid you back. And you also said that when he left in September, there was a substantial phone bill
Yes,
that
Your Honor.
was left unpaid. So let's deal with that first, and then we'll get to the big part of your claim.
Okay.
How much money did you loan to him and when?
I lent him $403, September 5th.
For what?
A vehicle payment, his Blazer. He told me that if he didn't get this payment, then he would lose the Blazer, and I didn't want him to lose the Blazer, so I gave him the $403.
Is that right?
That is correct.
Did you pay her back?
I paid her back $200 right off the back, and then I paid the other half of that back in the beginning of September. She claimed she didn't receive it. There was a very big confusion. We had a county fair going on at the time. The date that I was supposed to pay her back, that she had some paperwork she was supposed to give me to take it to the bank, it wasn't there. That evening, I went to the fair looking for her, and I gave them, because my son was with her at an event. I put the money in his coat because she needed the coat for him. I wanted to make sure she got the money.
Just a minute. You put cash in your son's coat?
That is correct. I was supposed to take the coat up to her.
Yes.
Getting into the event, I could not find them, and I gave it to a mutual friend of ours to give to her. The next morning, talking to her, she claimed she did not receive the money.
Well, so then you didn't give her the money. You never gave her that extra $203. Is that what you say you put in the coat pocket in
Yes,
cash?
well, that, and it was a total of $220-some in there. A total of 220-some.
228, Your Honor. I had lent him $25 previous for some cash for gas and that for the Blazer. And so he was supposed to put the $228 in the bank. We were busy at the fair and that.
Whatever.
Right.
You don't put cash in a coat pocket and then give the coat pocket to one person to give it to your sister at a fair when everybody's very busy. So she didn't receive the money and you never actually handed it to her, so she never got it. So you didn't pay her back.
Well, I did put it in there and I did send it, but she must not have received it as she claims.
So that's $228. And what about the phone bill?
The phone bill, Your Honor, I've got right here, and I've got summed up to $242.08.
Show it to him, please.
I've never received this before.
Right. I had spoke to him about it, Your Honor. There are, and I told him that there was a phone bill. He agreed. I told him there was a couple calls on there that added up to, one phone call was like $99, $98, and he agreed to it. He knew it. He said, fine, I'll do what I can do. He hasn't been able to do
I wanted to look at the bill first.
Well, so now take a look at it, sir.
Okay. At this time, it's hard for me to tell you exactly how many of these calls are mine.
Well, this is the time. Now let me have the bill, please. Now let's hear about the big part of this, which is a car. According to you, your brother wanted a car that you had. You agreed to sell him the car for $1,000.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
What'd you need another car for? You had a Blazer.
Correct. I was going out of town. And after the Buick was wrecked, they went back on their word, said they did not want to sell it to us. They were going to take the money.
You agreed to purchase the Buick from your sister for $1,000.
Total of $1,000.
Your sister says she did not transfer title to you.
Correct.
Because you hadn't started making the payments yet.
Correct.
Is that right?
That is correct.
But she let you use the car.
Correct.
She says with the understanding that until you had your own insurance, you were the only one who was going to drive the car.
Not true.
Your Honor, that is true. I called him from work.
That is not true.
I told my husband and my mother.
I don't want to hear your husband and your mother.
Sorry.
Husband and your mother has nothing to do with him.
I called him while I was at work. I called him while he was at home. That weekend, he told me that he was going to buy the Buick for her, which at that time he was getting ready to leave town and move to Michigan with this other girl, okay? So he wanted to buy this Buick for her. I told him, fine, nobody else drives it but you. You're covered. She is not. You make sure you get insurance. He said, I'll do that first thing Monday morning. I said, fine, that's great. Nobody else drives it. He said, okay, I got it.
Not true.
Shh, 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 shh. Mr. Hamrick, you'll have an opportunity, sir. Go ahead.
And he knew that because he was driving it before. He was covered.
They knew I was leaving town. They knew that Heather needed the vehicle to drive to work. They knew she was driving it.
Who's they?
Gave me. I never discussed with my brother-in-law. I did all talking with my sister.
Oh.
She did know. She did know that I was driving it.
The lawsuit says while he was using the car, he let his girlfriend drive the car.
Correct.
She was in an accident where the car was damaged, impounded.
Yes.
And she was hospitalized. For how long were you hospitalized?
I just went to the emergency room.
They picked her up by ambulance.
I asked her a question.
Sorry.
She can talk. What kind of damage was done to the car?
Your Honor, I've got a bill here and some photos.
Can I see it, please?
Yes. Now, they spoke with my husband.
You know what? I don't care what they said with your husband. All right, so let's see. So somebody hit you in the rear?
No, it was just me in the accident.
But you do have insurance?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. And I've got a statement here for that also.
I'd like to see the statement.
No.
Your Honor, I also have a copy of her medical bills from the accident.
I had.
So what does that have to do with this case?
Well, like you said, they're carrying the insurance on it. The medical should have covered her medical bills for that. There was no disagreement about her driving the car.
Your Honor, it's
just a second. Does she have her own insurance?
Yes.
She was in an accident with nobody else but herself. Why didn't she pay her own medical bills?
Because there was medical insurance on the car at the time that they knew she was driving it, and that was the same day that was agreed upon that I would put insurance on the car. Knowingly that she was driving it, they kept their insurance on it till I put my insurance on it.
Well, you didn't understand what I'm saying to you. She was in an accident all by herself, which means the accident was totally her fault.
Correct.
Why should your sister have her insurance pay for her medical bills when there is a possibility if she does that, her insurance premiums will go up as a result of her negligence? Let her pay her own medical bills. She had the accident. She caused the accident. She should pay her own medical bills. Now your sister is out, her car, and $1,000.
Which didn't have to be.
Shh, just a minute. Who should pay for that?
I should have paid for the car as originally agreed.
Good.
Only.
That's what you're going to pay. $1,000 to the car because you let a girlfriend over here drive it. Your girlfriend's going to pay for her own medical bills because she had the accident. She drove herself into a ditch. And you're going to pay $475 that you owe your sister for your phone bill and for the remaining cash that you put in the coat pocket and gave to some clown at a fair.
That doesn't total up to $475, Your Honor.
Oh, it does to me, sir. It does to me.
You're
phone
adding the
bill,
cash on top
phone
of that?
bill, and $228. $475 plus $1,000.
Okay.
$1,475. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
25-year-old graduate student Ayodiji Oladunjoye is suing 60-year-old painting company president Bill McCracken for the cost to replace 2 coats and a sweater. Ayodiji says they were ruined because of his company's negligence.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 369 on the calendar in the matter of Oladunjoye versus Pacific Painting. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Miss Oladunjoye, according to your complaint, you live in an apartment. The defendant owns a contracting company, painting contracting company, and his company painted the complex where you live. You came home one evening, there were no wet paint signs out, and some of your clothing was damaged.
That's correct.
In addition to the value of the property that was ruined, which was several $100s, You're suing the defendant for $5,000 because you claim that as a result of your not having your property because there was paint on it, you became ill, you got a cold, you got a pneumonia, and you want him to be responsible for all of your illness as a result of not having your coat, right? That's what you say.
That's what I said. What I want him to be responsible for is for their actions.
Well, responsible for the actions means paying for the property. It doesn't mean paying your foolishness if you don't go out and put on a sweater, madam. You understand that?
I do.
Good. Well, I'm glad we understand that right now. I'm not entertaining that part of your lawsuit which seeks reimbursement for your cold or sore throat.
No problem.
If you're cold, good. You put on a sweater. Either with or without paint. Okay, when did this happen?
December 16th, a year ago.
When were you first notified, sir, that there was damage to her property?
We received a letter in which she pointed out what had happened. The exact date, I don't know. We could not find the letter, but it was, to my recollection, it was sometime in springtime, I believe, when we finally did receive the letter. There was no return address and no telephone number for us to contact her.
That seems sort of irresponsible of her to send you a letter of complaint without giving you an inkling about how she could be contacted, sir, so I tend to disbelieve that.
Okay.
Since you don't have the letter, I tend to disbelieve that this very intelligent young woman would just write you a kvetch letter so that it would make her feel better. What she was doing is saying, I want to be reimbursed for my property. I tried to have it cleaned, which you say you did, couldn't be cleaned, and I want you to reimburse me for the property if you can find me. You got it? Okay.
Yes.
You have a copy of the letter?
Yes, I do.
Come on, see it, please. It's a copy of the letter that you cannot produce since there was no way of contacting her. You did nothing.
She contacted us.
But you did nothing.
We did nothing.
And then she contacted you again, right?
Yes.
What did you do in response?
I said that I would, when I had time, I would come by and look at the articles of clothing.
Mm-hmm.
I did not. We were in the process of a reorganization, and I am now in a different company.
So you didn't do as you said you would do, which was to come over and take a look at the damaged goods.
I didn't. Someone else did.
When?
Shortly thereafter, perhaps a month or so, I'm not sure, Your Honor, that Mr. Stephen Gelly, who I've brought as a witness, did go to her home and did pick up the coats.
Had she called you between the time you said you would go over and by the time Mr. Stephen Gelly went over, had she called you again?
I believe she called one more time. I was not in.
She called one more time, probably at least, because she was frustrated because although you said you would go over there, you never did. Then she called
correct.
again, and she got Mr. Stephen Gelly. So now she's really frustrated. She writes you a letter to which you do not respond. She calls you, you say, I'll be over. You don't come over. She waits to hear from you. She doesn't hear from you. She calls you again, and finally you send somebody else over. So you understand the frustration. That's not very good business, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Stephen Gelly goes over there, and according to what I've read in the complaint, you took her coats. Is that right?
Correct.
Step up. Now, on what date did you go over there?
I believe it was in May.
May.
It was in August. It was in August.
Was it that late? I knew it was in the warmer part of the year.
Okay. So you went over in August. He comes over and he gets the coats. And what did you do with the coats, sir?
Well, what I was going to do was the nylon.
No, don't tell me what you were going to do. What did you do?
Oh, I had a conversation with the plaintiff.
Yes, and you said you were going to take the coats and see if you could get them what?
This particular one, these did not look like they could be cleaned because they're a soft material, whereas this is a nylon shell, so it looked like it could be cleaned. We tried, and just as she had, it was not, we were not able to clean them. The letter that she had, it was actually, I think, a fax that she had sent over as opposed to a letter. That was the first time I had seen it, was in August.
She sent you a fax. She sent you a fax.
Is that what it was?
Copy of which I have.
Right. And I asked her how much she thought the articles were worth, and she gave me the letter, and I read through it, and I'm going by memory. Again, I believe this one was $250, or $275, $250, and $200 for the sweater. And I don't know value of clothing, but the sweater itself was a Cambridge Classic, which I think is a standard brand from Mervyn's.
After you ascertained what you thought might be the value of the property, what did you do?
I wasn't able to ascertain it because...
So what did you do? After you weren't able to ascertain the value, what did you do?
There was nothing.
Did you call her?
No.
You didn't call her?
No.
Did somebody else call her?
No, I was still in the process of trying to ascertain what the value was.
How long did that take you?
Maybe a couple weeks that I had the clothing from the time that I first talked to her.
Okay, so you had the clothing for a couple of weeks. You're still trying to ascertain, and what happened?
She called me on probably a Wednesday, middle of the week, and said she would like to get this resolved. She was going on a trip. At that point, I didn't have an answer for her as to what the value was. The following Monday, she came into the office, and I think it was a Monday, and demanded that she talk to me right then. The secretary called me on a cell phone and said that she was there and wanted to talk to me. She left this on my voicemail. I called back when I got the message, and the plaintiff had left, and I subsequently had a voicemail from her. She was very, very angry.
Understandably.
Mm-hmm. And
I waited in the office for 45 minutes.
Understandably very angry.
Yeah.
I want to know when somebody called her after she's made numerous attempts at contact. She has sent you a fax dated December 16th. She has called repeatedly and gotten absolutely no satisfaction. When for the first time did you call and make her an offer with regard to her jackets?
There was no offer made.
Why is that?
After she had left the office, like I said, the voicemail that I had gotten was very, very angry. She said, "This is not going to go down easy for you. I'm going to make this very difficult for you." At that point, I contacted the office. I said, "I'm not going to be able to ascertain the value of this. Go ahead and return her items, and I think the best thing to do is litigate this." Because
bad business.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Iodiji Oladunjoye says her clothes were ruined due to the negligence of painters working at her apartment complex. Bill McCracken, painting company president, says his men were not at fault.
Can I see the coats, please? I'm just trying to see the paint on
It's
this.
on the inside of the coat.
How did it get on the inside of the coat?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, who was wearing the coat?
I was wearing the coat and the sweater.
Who was wearing this?
My boyfriend was.
Where is he?
He's in the Navy. Can I finally say something, please?
Sure.
This has been going on for almost 8 months. If I really, really was bothered about the money, this was not about the money. But you don't just come to my house, promise me you're going to take care of my jackets and deprive me of my property for almost 3 months with no call or anything like that. That's very bad business. And you stand here and want to criticize me.
Don't talk to him. Didn't I say that to him?
I'm sorry.
Somebody came to your house. A very nice gentleman came to your house. He takes your property. You don't hear from him for weeks.
That's stealing, actually.
No, it's not stealing. Don't make a... Listen. Just like your cold isn't their problem.
Well,
your sore throat isn't their problem.
I think you should
because there's nothing preventing you from wearing this jacket.
Not if they have the jackets. They did have the jackets.
Listen to me, Adam. You gave them the jackets. Listen carefully to me. You gave them the jackets. You could have just as easily said to him, "You may look at it and see the paint, but I do not have another winter jacket. I do not have anything else to keep me warm." Do you know what I'm saying to you?
I was naive. He told me he was going to be back the next day.
There is not a naive bone in your body. You're a very smart lady. But they engaged in business practices that are very, very stupid. The jacket clearly is an 80% down jacket. You estimate its value at approximately $250, which is very possible.
It is.
Which is very possible. This jacket is not worth $250, your boyfriend's jacket.
Okay.
Would you agree or disagree with that? Take a look. Would you pay $250 for that jacket?
Not now. He will.
Not in this world.
Not in this world.
No.
Me neither. Shopping is something I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Then you can help.
So I would estimate that the value of this property, even new, would be no more than $350. And you are suing for substantially more than that, in addition to everything else, a little bit of aggravation. I think you're entitled to something for your aggravation because I really believe that a merchant or a contractor has an obligation to respond immediately to a complaint and not allow a frustrating circumstance to continue? Because there isn't a question in my mind that while these folks went about their business as they should have and conducted their contracting business and whatever else they had to do, every time you saw these clothes in your closet, you were aggravated because in your eyes you were being disrespected by these people because they were totally ignoring you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
When we get a claim that is obviously exaggerated, then yes, we respond differently than to someone who appears to be reasonable.
They obviously thought I was going to roll over and not do anything about it, but I mean, people have to speak up for what they believe in and their rights and their property.
And now the next case.
All parties on Bishop versus Taylor. Step forward, please.
52-year-old marine engineer Graham Bishop is suing his ex-girlfriend, 47-year-old cosmetologist Linda Taylor, for an unpaid loan and for the return of furniture he claims she stole.
According to your complaint, the defendant with whom you became involved moved into your home.
Yes.
And there was a time during that period that she was in financial difficulty, according to you, and you loaned her $2,000 in two $1,000 checks.
Yes.
And then you went away on a business trip, traveled out of the country or out of the jurisdiction on business. She remained in your home.
Yes.
And then she contacted you and told you that since this was a new home that you had, she had a friend who was moving and had a whole house full of furniture that she thought would be wonderful in your house, and you sent her another check for $1,000 for that furniture.
Yes.
You came home from your business trip and you found no furniture in the house.
That's correct.
Then the relationship ended and she moved out.
Yes.
You want your money back.
Yes.
Ms. Taylor, on the other hand, said that you told her she should move in with you, you would fully support her. You sent her $1,000. Furniture came, it didn't look good in the house, so she sold it to her daughter for $600, and she gave you the check for $600. When did Miss Taylor move into your home?
She moved into my home in May, the night before I left to fly to Japan.
And under what circumstances did she move into the house?
She came to me and asked to borrow money.
What did she need the money for?
She said she needed it because she was going to school and having some financial difficulties. So I gave her the first check, which was $25.86 for $1,000, and on it in my handwriting when I gave it to her was personal loan.
I see.
And then the second check is for the...
Personal loan was never on that check.
Just a second.
He has written that in.
No, that was on the check when I gave that to her.
Just a second, madam. I didn't ask you to interrupt. So you gave her these two checks, one April 24th, and then you sent her another check from
Yes,
Japan?
she requested for additional money by email, and I
Do you have the email?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please?
And then there was a further email where she had mentioned
Well,
that
let
she
me
had
read this one, sir.
Okay. The highlighted parts.
Hmm?
The highlighted parts.
Yeah, well, you don't mind if I read the whole thing, do you?
No, go right ahead.
You said you had another email, sir?
Yes, she mentioned the fact that when I loaned her the money that she had a lawsuit that she would be...
Well, that I want to see, because so far...
Because she said she will repay me in at the bottom.
Let me just read it, sir.
With benefits.
She doesn't say anything about a loan here, sir?
Well, it's talking there about receiving her lawsuit, and I would reap the benefits in the bottom part of that. That's kind of reading between the lines.
Very much so.
Okay. Now what I'd like you to do, sir, is tell me about this furniture. How much did you send her for
I
the
sent
furniture?
her a check for $1,000.
And you don't deny that you received that check. That was a third check for $1,000.
Correct.
So what'd you do?
What did I do?
Yeah.
Okay, my friend was moving to the East Coast. She had just bought some brand new furniture in February, and she was going to be moving in the 1st of September. And I knew Graham needed some furniture in his house, so I emailed him and asked him if he wanted it. He said, yeah, go ahead and get it. And so I did. But then I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, and I did ask him, are you sure this is what really...
Don't give me a whole big story, madam. He sent you $1,000 for furniture.
Okay.
Does he have his $1,000 back, or does he have the furniture?
It wasn't $1,000 for the furniture. He gave me extra.
You sent her other money?
Yes.
That's important.
Yes, I
Did you send her other money?
Yes, I sent her a check for $500 dated July 15th. I did another check for $500
Can I see that, please?
dated
Can I see
August
those?
1st.
That is very important, Mr. Bishop.
Yes.
Your Honor, one thing you need to know is I was paying half of the rent at my apartment. I have a lease there until January. My daughter offered to pay half of the rent to stay.
Is your daughter living in your apartment?
She
just as the answer is yes or no.
Yes, my daughter's
Good.
living there. She paid half the rent.
Well, she should have paid the whole rent if she was living there. She should have paid the whole rent.
Well, in 1 month she did.
Good. So stop giving me baloney. So he did send you other money just to live. Is that right?
Yes.
July 500, 15th, August 1st, 500, August 28th, 500. And you're not even asking for this back.
No, that's not an issue before this court.
Oh, Your Honor, he has another lawsuit going on.
Not an issue before this court.
Oh, are you suing her someplace else for this money?
Yes, for the other money, yes.
Where?
In Vancouver, Washington, small claims court.
Really?
Yes.
And I did not.
Well, shh. Under what theory are you suing her for this money in small claims court?
Well, I have other witnesses, but...
What theory, sir?
That she has told somebody else that I was generously loaning the money to her while she was living in my house and going to school.
Are you telling me, sir, that these were loans also?
Yes.
No, Your Honor.
Shh. Hey, quiet. I would suggest, sir, you reissue your summons in that case. I'm dismissing this case without prejudice. You don't go to 2 different courts and waste 2 different courts' time, sir. What you do is you bring one lawsuit. You don't bring people to court 2 different days. That's absolutely ridiculous. Your case is dismissed without prejudice. We will reinstate it so that you can appear in your own jurisdiction. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may